So this morning I'm going to be looking at this Thunder Tiger engine that I just recently got from a good friend of mine. He gave me a price I really couldn't refuse on it, so thought I've never had one of these before, so I thought I'd get it. And it doesn't show anything on the box here as to what the designation is, but this is a Thunder Tiger 54 4-stroke engine. Doesn't say that anywhere on the box now. So, this is the engine, and this must be the exhaust. So, you know, in general, this engine looks to be in pretty fair shape, but I'm going to do my initial inspection on that. Looks like it's got some carbon residue on it, so that's probably going to go straight into my LA's cleaner. This is probably going to be a complete teardown anyway. Looks like we've got a damaged screw here and a little bit of damage. A little bit of damage here on the screw boss holding the screw on the carb onto the crankcase. Other than that, these fasteners look okay. I may have to hit them with a toothbrush before I open it up just to make sure I get good engagement. The engine's got what I'd consider really good compression, but it could probably use a little cleaning and maybe replace the bearings. Overall, this engine doesn't look like it's in too bad a shape. It's got good compression, but instead of just running it, I think I want to tear it down and clean it up. So let's see what we got going on in this engine. Okay, no gas. Yeah, there's a gasket there. Okay, cool. And it looks like it's in good shape. Rocker arms look kind of dry. No big deal there. Let's take this out. Now there is no clicker on this, or ratchet mechanism on this, and this looks like it was just somebody's silicone tubing that they put on after the fact. So it looks like it's got an air bleed screw here. I'm hoping I don't have any issue getting these screws out. I'm going to go ahead and take those out first. Make sure I don't have any kind of problems here. That screw is probably going to need to be replaced since the head is all hosed up on it. Looks like that screw is bent. Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but that screw is bent. Maybe this plane, or this was in a wreck. I'm gonna have to loosen this up. Be interesting to see if this intake manifold has a gasket on it. And it does. Looks like the gasket is in decent shape, so we'll be able to reuse that. Let's take this plug out. God damn, why do some people put that much freaking torque on a goddamn glow plug? Okay, so I got the plug off. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of runtime on that. It looks like it's a pretty clean piston top. So, hopefully, this engine doesn't have a whole lot of runtime on it. Let's see if I'm going to have any issues with any of these other fasteners. Just break them all loose first. There's that other head bolt. Wow, that one didn't have much torque on it at all. Push rods out, they feel pretty grimy. Looks like this engine was run and then just put away improperly because, well, valves are not stuck, obviously, since it had good compression, but those springs feel kind of weak. That could just be the way it is on this engine. Look at that. This is interesting. Let me zoom in on this. You see that? For some reason it looks like there is an imprint of where the intake valve touched the top of the piston. Interesting. Alright, let's look at this. So, see all of this? Let me zoom in again here real quick. See all this garbage here? And if you recall, I said this was a screw that didn't feel like it had very much torque on it. I don't know if this is dirt. Looks like... yeah, that stuff just crumbled. That stuff just crumbled as I knocked it off, leading me to wonder if this airplane went in the dirt. Part of why I do this is to try to guess, because it's kind of fun to guess what happened with these engines. So we've already noted that there was a bunch of dirt here. This screw didn't feel all that tight. This screw here on the carb was bent, and that carb section of the carb was broke out. So something obviously happened in this engine. Let's look at our... Jesus Christ, there's a lot of dirt there. This engine was in a crash. There's no doubt about that now, because there's all kinds of dirt here, which is kind of really screwing up my workbench here. Now I'm gonna have to move all this stuff out, wipe all this crap down real good. This engine was in a crash, undoubtedly, because there's a lot of dirt there. Here's what the reveal on the piston or the valves looks like. Looks like a pretty low time engine. Looks like somebody used it for a little bit, planted it, didn't feel like screwing with it anymore, and then got rid of the engine. That's kind of what it's looking like. But since this is all going to be in my cleaner, shouldn't be a big deal. It's just these little O-rings. I'll have to put them on a different piece of paper over here. They still feel pliant, but they're covered with dirt. Okay, well, let's drop these valves next on this thing. Piece of paper towel. Set this on so it holds those valves firmly. Hopefully we're not going to have an issue there. Okay, let's... it's out. It's out. Keeper seems to be stuck on this, not wanting to come out. Let's just go ahead and get this valve out. Okay, this exhaust valve is a little bit of resistance there. I'm going to have to get a little bit of sandpaper and look at that valve spring. That's not good. Okay, so now we're getting a little bit better picture of things here. This valve spring is bent and taken a set, and it just broke. So that's an interesting development. Obviously I don't have a replacement valve spring for this engine, so that kind of sucks. So things are starting to kind of go downhill on this engine right now. This keeper is stuck on here. This valve doesn't want to come out without a little bit of cleaning up of this shaft here, and now we've got a broken intake valve spring. All not good things. Good thing I didn't just try and run this engine, because it probably would have ended catastrophically. Alright, let's continue on here. Now that I got those valves out of that head. See what other surprises we've got in this engine. I've already got a broken valve spring. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find replacement parts, so that's going to be interesting. I think we pretty much figured out that this engine was in a crash based on the dirt that was embedded in the top of the head, the front of the engine. The valves, exhaust valve had quite a bit of carbon buildup on it. This doesn't look too bad. I'm going to have to heat it up and push that sleeve out. Let's get this gasket off so I can put this in the cleaner without damaging this. Alright, so I just put some oil on this thing just to see if I can get this to... Oh, okay, cool. Well, the sleeve is coming out without heat. Let's take that sleeve out. See if we can get this piston off of here now. Looks like it wants to come off. But maybe that pin is... This pin is stuck in there. Let's see if I can get it to move it all this way. Yeah, this connecting rod is not wanting to move on the wrist pin. The wrist pin and connecting rod are stuck, so I'm probably going to have to maybe just put this in my cleaner like this until it can loosen up that material enough so allow this piston to come off. So that's probably what we're going to have to do there.